Imagine a place so advanced, so mysterious, that even today's world powers are quietly racing to uncover its secrets. A place spoken of in ancient texts described as a thriving civilization thousands of years, ahead of its time yet swallowed by the ocean in a single night. Now picture this: satellites detecting unusual structures beneath the waves, governments suddenly increasing deep-sea expeditions, and billions of dollars being poured into ocean mapping programs without public explanation. Why? What are they looking for? And why does the legend of Atlantis, something dismissed for centuries as myth, now have the attention of nations like the United States, Russia, and China? Some say they researching for ancient knowledge. Others believe the ocean floor hides resources more precious than anything on land. But the truth may be far stranger. Because if Atlantis was ever real, it wasn't just another ancient city, it was a powerhouse of technology, energy, and engineering so advanced that even Plato struggled to describe it. Today, the world's most powerful countries aren't ignoring that possibility, they rechasing it. They're scanning the seafloor, claiming underwater territories, and competing for control over parts of the ocean no one cared about before. And the deeper we look, the more the puzzle pieces begin to align. This is the story of Atlantis, the lost city beneath the ocean, and why some of the world's strongest nations are suddenly targeting it. For thousands of years, the legend of Atlantis has hovered between mythology and tantalizing possibility, a story powerful enough to survive across civilizations, languages, and entire eras of history. The story begins not with explorers or ancient maps, but with a single man, the Greek philosopher Plato, in two of his dialogues. Timaeus and Critias. Plato describes Atlantis as a magnificent civilization that supposedly flourished around 9,000 years before his time. To understand just how ancient that is, Plato lived around 360 BC. His timeline places Atlantis nearly 12,000 years in the past, far older than any known civilization on record. According to Plato, Atlantis was unlike any society ever seen, technologically advanced, strategically powerful, and architecturally breathtaking. He claimed the city was built in perfect concentric circles, water and land forming rings like a giant target connected by bridges, canals, and waterways. The temples were covered in precious metals, the palaces were enormous, the engineering, he said, surpassed anything humans could achieve for centuries to come. Plato also described the Atlanteans as a people blessed with incredible knowledge, mastery over agriculture, architecture, naval warfare, and even forms of energy that remain vague in his writings but strangely futuristic. Some interpretations suggest crystal energy, others think it was advanced metallurgy, and some believe Plato hinted at a type of lost technology humans have yet to rediscover. But according to Plato, with great power came great arrogance. Atlantis, once a just and noble society, grew greedy and corrupt. Eventually the gods punished them. In a single cataclysmic night, earthquakes and floods tore the society apart, dragging the entire island into the ocean. Plato described the disaster with chilling simplicity. In one day and one night of misfortune, the mighty Atlantis disappeared beneath the sea. For centuries, scholars dismissed the story as allegory, a philosophical metaphor about pride, politics, and morality. But time has a strange way of reshaping old legends. As more ancient sites are found underwater, and as geological evidence continues to indicate massive, rapid floods in Earth's past, Plato's tale doesn't feel quite as fictional as it once did. The details he gave were too specific, too elaborate, and too unusually advanced for a simple story. Whether Atlantis was real or Plato's imagination, one thing is certain: the legend refuses to die. And now, thousands of years later, the world's most powerful nations seem to be paying attention once again. For a long time, Atlantis lived only in the pages of philosophy and the imaginations of storytellers. But the mystery took a dramatic turn in the 20th and 21st centuries as technology evolved, allowing humans to explore the deepest parts of our oceans. With sonar mapping, satellite imaging, and underwater drones, the oceans began revealing shapes, formations, and structures that sparked global curiosity. Suddenly, the idea of a lost civilization under the sea no longer felt like a myth, it felt like a possibility that demanded serious scientific attention. One of the first modern sparks came from the Bimini Road discovery in 1968. Divers stumbled upon what looked like a long, linear path made of massive stone blocks off the coast of the Bahamas. To some, it appeared to be a man-made roadway. To others, a natural rock formation, but it ignited a wave of interest. Why? Because Plato placed the gateway to Atlantis beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which many interpret as the Atlantic Ocean, and the Bahamas sit right in the region often considered a prime candidate. Then came the Yonaguni Monument near Japan, a massive underwater structure with terraces, steps, straight edges, and carved-like formations. Scientists remain divided. Natural formation or the ruins of an ancient city, either possibility adds to the mystery. Because if advanced ancient cultures existed in one part of the world, they could have existed in others, and perhaps Atlantis was one of them. As ocean scanning improved, researchers found odd geometric shapes under the Mediterranean Sea near Cyprus and Santorini areas that match other interpretations of Plato's descriptions. Huge rectangular shadows, dome-like structures, and patterns that look eerily similar to ancient city grids began showing up in low-resolution scans. Not enough evidence to prove anything, just enough to raise eyebrows. What's even more intriguing is the discovery of submerged pyramids, pillars, walls, and caverns off the coasts of Cuba and Portugal. In 2001, a Canadian exploration team reportedly photographed what seemed like symmetrical stone shapes nearly 2,000 feet underwater near Cuba, a depth at which no known ancient human structure should exist. Governments and scientists offered no clear explanation. Meanwhile, geological studies revealed that massive flooding events did occur thousands of years ago, the kind that could swallow entire cities rapidly. This aligns eerily well with Plato's timeline and description of Atlantis' sudden destruction. As modern evidence piles up, not conclusive but compelling, the world is forced to ask, if so many ancient structures are underwater, why couldn't Atlantis be one of them? As underwater discoveries grew more compelling, one question began to rise: why are global superpowers suddenly investing billions into ocean exploration, deep-sea technology, and underwater mapping programs? These efforts aren't random scientific curiosity, they strategic, carefully planned, and often hidden behind vague public explanations. And when you look closely, it becomes clear that these countries may not simply be searching the ocean, they may be searching for something like Atlantis. The first motivation is military strategy. The oceans hide more secrets than the surface of the earth, and most of the seabed remains unmapped. The United States, Russia, and China have all dramatically expanded their deep ocean military presence in the last 2 decades. Submarine detection systems, underwater sensor networks, and long-range drone fleets are advancing rapidly. Why? Because control of the ocean floor means control of global power. If there truly are massive structures down there, natural or man-made, they could be mistaken for hidden bases or used as locations for future military outposts. The idea of an ancient city with unique geological formations or cavities could give military forces deep strategic advantages. Whether it's Atlantis or not, these countries want whatever lies beneath. But the second motivation is far more intriguing: technology. Plato described Atlantis as a civilization with advanced engineering, energy systems, and knowledge beyond the ancient world. Modern theorists argue that if a lost civilization did exist, it may have possessed technologies or materials now forgotten. Even the faint possibility of rediscovering ancient energy sources, crystalline, electromagnetic, or geological, would be enough to push superpowers into a silent race. Some countries publicly deny this interest. Privately, research papers and classified documents hint at unidentified underwater anomalies being studied for potential scientific breakthroughs. Then comes the third motivation: natural resources. The ocean floor is rich with rare earth metals essential for modern technology: lithium, cobalt, manganese, and minerals crucial for batteries, satellites, and advanced weapons systems. Deep-sea mining is becoming a new frontier, and nations are scrambling to claim sections of the seabed before others do. If Atlantis existed near a resource-rich region, discovering its ruins would give a country a strategic economic advantage. Finally, there's global prestige. The nation that finds Atlantis would instantly rewrite history, gaining worldwide recognition and scientific dominance. It's not just a discovery, it's a cultural victory. Behind the scenes, powerful countries aren't simply exploring the oceans, they're re-racing. searching competing, because beneath those dark waters something valuable might be waiting. As interest in Atlantis intensifies, researchers and governments have narrowed their focus to several key regions across the planet, each one holding clues, geological evidence, or strange underwater formations that could match Plato's descriptions. These locations aren't random guesses. They are places where unusual scans, unexplained structures, or ancient anomalies have appeared repeatedly, sparking the attention of scientists and powerful nations alike. And behind every potential location lies a strategic reason for why certain countries want control over it. One of the most widely discussed theories places Atlantis near Greece and the Mediterranean Sea, especially around the island of Santorini. The devastating eruption of the ancient volcano Thera wiped out entire civilizations and reshaped coastlines within minutes. This catastrophic event aligns uncannily well with Plato's account of a city destroyed in a single day and night. Underwater surveys around the Mediterranean have revealed sunken walls, stone paths, and architectural fragments buried in volcanic ash. European nations, particularly Greece and Italy, have increased underwater archaeological missions in the region, partly for historical interest, but also because whoever controls discoveries in the Mediterranean controls a major narrative of ancient history. Another major theory points to the Bahamas and Caribbean region. The Bimini Road's strange symmetrical structures and vast underwater terraces have drawn both scientific teams and military interest. The United States, which maintains a powerful military presence across the Caribbean, has quietly conducted deep-sea scans and submarine missions near these formations. Why? Because the Caribbean sits on a complex geological shelf filled with mineral-rich zones, and if Atlantis existed, anywhere near here, the ruins might lie close to valuable underwater resources. Then there is the more controversial but increasingly discussed Antarctica theory. As ice sheets melt due to climate change, satellite imagery has revealed strange rectangular shapes and dome-like patterns beneath the ice. Some believe Antarctica's shifting crust may have hidden ancient landmasses long ago. Several countries, including the US, Russia, and China, have increased their presence in Antarctica under the guise of research stations, but many experts believe the interest goes far beyond studying ice. Finally, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a massive underwater mountain range stretching between the Americas and Europe, remains one of the strongest candidates. Deep trenches, volcanic ridges, and mysterious formations detected along the ridge match several interpretations of Plato's descriptions of an island civilization lost to the sea. Multiple nations conduct deep-sea mapping here, often classified under marine research programs that offer very little public detail. Each of these potential locations carries not only historical mystery, but enormous strategic value, and that's exactly why powerful countries are paying attention. The question of Atlantis' existence has haunted historians, scientists, and explorers for centuries. For every skeptic who dismisses it as myth, there is new evidence hinting that the line between legend and history may not be as clear as once believed. And with new discoveries emerging from the ocean floor every year, the possibility of Atlantis being real has shifted from fantasy to a legitimate scientific debate. Supporters of Atlantis' existence often begin with the one undeniable fact: Plato was not a storyteller. He was a respected philosopher known for logic, accuracy, and careful documentation. In his writings, he was unusually specific, giving exact distances, measurements, descriptions of architecture, governance, and even agriculture. Ancient myths are typically vague and poetic. Plato's account reads more like a historical report. He even claimed that the story came from Egyptian records thousands of years older than his own civilization. For believers, it raises an important question. Why would Plato risk his reputation with a fabricated story so detailed and so controversial? Another point supporting Atlantis' existence is the growing evidence of advanced ancient civilizations that were far more sophisticated than previously believed. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, for instance, is over 11,000 years old, matching the timeline Plato gave for Atlantis, and its architecture is shockingly advanced for its era. If one advanced civilization could exist that early, why not another, and why not one that flourished near coastlines now swallowed by the sea? Geological research adds more intrigue. Scientists now know that during the end of the last ice age, dramatic sea level rises occurred across the globe. Entire landmasses disappeared within short periods of time as melting glaciers raised oceans by hundreds of feet. A coastal civilization from that era could easily have been consumed by rising waters, leaving ruins deep beneath the surface. However, skeptics argue that no definitive structure has been confirmed, as Atlantis' many underwater formations that look man-made could be natural. They argue Plato might have used Atlantis as a metaphor to discuss morality, power, and corruption. They also point out that ancient texts often mixed historical facts with imaginative embellishments, yet the mystery remains unsolved. What keeps the debate alive is the accumulation of anomalies: underwater roads, terraces, grids, pyramids, and structures across multiple continents, many of which predate known civilizations. Each discovery adds pressure to the question: if so many ancient sites are buried underwater, why couldn't one of them be Atlantis? Atlantis may not be proven, but it is no longer easily dismissed. Of all the theories surrounding Atlantis, none is more compelling or more controversial than the idea that this ancient civilization possessed knowledge far beyond what we associate with humanity's distant past. Plato described the Atlanteans as master builders, engineers, astronomers, and navigators. He spoke of sophisticated irrigation systems, grand temples covered in metals, perfectly structured city design, and technologies that sounded centuries ahead of their time. For skeptics, these descriptions are too exaggerated to be true. But for researchers and theorists who study ancient cultures, such claims are not as impossible as they once seemed. Humanity has repeatedly discovered ancient sites that defy expectations. Göbekli Tepe, at 11,000 years old, was built with precision-cut stones and astronomical alignment long before organized agriculture. The pyramids of Giza contain engineering mysteries that modern builders still struggle to replicate. Ancient Sanskrit texts describe flying machines, weapons of immense power, and advanced mathematics centuries before similar discoveries in Europe. And underwater ruins near India suggest entire cities were swallowed by the sea thousands of years ago. When viewed together, these anomalies raise a question. Did ancient civilizations possess knowledge that we simply lost? If Atlantis did exist, its knowledge may not have been magic or myth. It could have been the combined wisdom of a society that mastered nature in ways modern science is only beginning to understand. Some theories suggest they harnessed geothermal, magnetic, or crystalline energy hinted at in Plato's descriptions of shining stones and metallic alloys. Others propose that the Atlanteans were pioneers of early seafaring, exploring parts of the world long before recorded history. There is even speculation that their architecture exhibited advanced geometry and mathematical knowledge far ahead of its time. This possibility is precisely why modern nations are interested. The rediscovery of ancient knowledge would be more valuable than any treasure. If the Atlanteans used unique construction techniques, new energy sources, or unknown materials, understanding them could revolutionize technology. Even a small fragment of forgotten science, something as simple as an alloy that doesn't corrode or a method of generating energy without fossil fuels, could shift the balance of global power. Governments are not just exploring ruins, they are hunting potential breakthroughs. To the world's most powerful nations, Atlantis represents more than myth. It represents the possibility of rediscovering knowledge that could transform the modern age. And if even a fraction of that knowledge survived beneath the sea, it could change everything we think we know about human progress. As the mystery deepens and evidence continues to surface, the search for Atlantis has quietly turned into a global competition, one that is far more intense and strategic than most people realize. This is not just about archaeology anymore. It is a geopolitical race, a hunt driven by power, prestige, resources, and the possibility of uncovering something revolutionary beneath the ocean. The rivalry among the world's strongest nations has escalated to a point where even small discoveries trigger immediate interest, research missions, and international tension. The United States holds one of the most advanced deep-sea exploration programs in the world. Through agencies like NOAA and the U.S. Navy, America has been mapping the ocean floor for decades. Officially, this is for scientific and environmental purposes. Unofficially leaked documents and classified expeditions hint at the monitoring of unidentified underwater structures in regions connected to Atlantis theories, particularly near the Caribbean and mid-Atlantic ridge. The U.S. understands that whoever controls the discovery controls the narrative, the resources, and the global prestige. Russia, on the other hand, has taken a more aggressive approach. Its deep-sea submersibles, such as the Mir submersible fleet, have the ability to dive deeper than many Western counterparts. Russia has conducted mysterious expeditions in the Arctic and North Atlantic, raising questions about what they are looking for. Some analysts believe Russia is searching for unique geological formations or minerals that could give them economic advantage. Others think they want to beat the West to any groundbreaking discovery, especially one as historically monumental as Atlantis. Meanwhile, China has rapidly expanded its ocean technology, building underwater drones, research stations, and deep-sea mining platforms at unprecedented speed. China's interest in the South Pacific, Indian Ocean, and even sections of the Atlantic has increased dramatically. Their long-term strategy is clear: secure resources, secure territory, and secure knowledge. If Atlantis is even remotely connected to valuable minerals, ancient energy theories, or strategic sea routes, China is determined not to be left behind. Even European nations, Greece, Italy, Spain, the UK, have intensified oceanic archaeological missions. Greece especially views the search for Atlantis as a matter of cultural identity and national pride. If the lost city is discovered within its waters, Greece would gain enormous historical significance. The search has quietly become a race, a silent, high-stakes contest beneath the waves. Nations are not just exploring, they are competing. Because finding Atlantis would mean rewriting history, and whoever rewrites history shapes the future. The question that lingers behind every theory, every expedition, and every underwater scan is this: what happens if Atlantis is actually found? The discovery would not simply be another archaeological triumph, it would be an event powerful enough to shift global politics, rewrite human history, and challenge everything we think we know about ancient civilizations. The world is not prepared for such a discovery, and that is exactly why so many nations are racing to be the first. One of the most immediate consequences would be a massive geopolitical struggle. Whichever country uncovers Atlantis would claim the rights to its territory, artifacts, and research. If the ruins lie in international waters, arguments would erupt over ownership, similar to modern disputes in the Arctic and South China Sea. With Atlantis likely sitting on valuable geological zones, countries would compete, not only for historical recognition, but also for economic and scientific advantage. The discovery could trigger new treaties or new conflicts. But beyond politics is a deeper, more profound impact. Our understanding of human history would change forever. For centuries, historians believe that advanced civilizations began only around 6,000 years ago. Then comes the possibility of lost technology. If Atlantis truly was advanced, ruins might contain evidence of material structures or systems we don't fully understand today. Even a single discovery such as an unknown alloy, a unique architectural technique, or remnants of an energy system could revolutionize industries. Imagine if certain myths about crystal energy or electromagnetic systems turned out to have scientific foundations. It would spark a technological shift unlike anything in modern history. Spiritually and culturally, the world would be shaken. Religions, myths, and ancient stories from different cultures might suddenly connect. Legends once thought symbolic could be grounded in real events. Humanity would have to confront the idea that much of our forgotten past still lies beneath the oceans. In the end, finding Atlantis would do more than solve an ancient mystery. It would force the world to rethink who we are, where we came from, and how much we have yet to discover. In the end, the mystery of Atlantis is far bigger than a lost city. It is a mirror held up to humanity, reflecting everything we have forgotten, everything we might have once been, and everything we still hope to become. Whether Atlantis was a real civilization swallowed by the sea or a story meant to warn us about power and pride, its legacy continues to shape science, exploration, politics, and imagination. Nations search the ocean floor not only for ruins, but for answers about our origins, our potential, and the ancient knowledge that may still lie hidden beneath the waves. And as technology advances and the depths of our oceans slowly reveal their secrets, one truth becomes impossible to ignore: the world is not done discovering itself. Perhaps Atlantis is still waiting out there, buried under centuries of silence, preserved in darkness, holding on to a message that humanity was never meant to forget. And if the day comes when we finally uncover it, everything we know about our history, our future, and our place in the world may change forever.